This is Mission Control Houston. The Expedition 33 crew members on board the International Space Station have been focused on a variety of scientific research this week, while also preparing for operations with a number of visiting vehicles. On Monday, Flight engineer Aki Hoshide activated the re-entry breakup recorder and installed it in the automated transfer vehicle number 3 for its planned Tuesday undocking. That rebur records data during the re-entry on temperature, acceleration, rotational rates, and other items. Data that will be transmitted to the ground and studied to help design future spacecraft that would pose less of a hazard during re-entry. He then joined Commander Sonny Williams for some ATV undocking training before both of them went to work closing the hatches between the ATV and the station. Leak checks were conducted through the night tonight, looking ahead toward the undocking on Tuesday. Hoshide also worked with Commander Sonny Williams Monday and Thursday, training for next month's arrival of the Dragon spacecraft, a commercial cargo ship targeted for its first operational flight to the station in early October, launching October 7th and planning to arrive at the station October the 10th. The computer-based training of how they will use Canadarm2 to grapple the Dragon when it approaches the station and berth it to the Harmony node, just as was done during the first Dragon visit to the station during its demonstration flight in May. Tuesday's schedule centered around preparations for the undocking of the ATV. All of the crew had a shortened day since they would be up later than usual to monitor the ATV's undocking. Although during the day, Sonny Williams set up the ultrasound for the integrated cardiovascular experiment, in which an echocardiogram is conducted on the crew member before and after exercise. The scientists try to quantify the atrophy of the heart muscle that is associated with long-duration spaceflight. Hoshide assisted her on that experiment and spent part of the early part of that day exchanging samples in the NanoStep experiment, while their crewmate, flight engineer Yuri Malenchenko, took care of the routine maintenance in the Russian segment of the station. Williams also conducted 2 in-flight interviews with the Huffington Post and CBS Radio before all 3 crew members got a midday break. Tuesday's undocking attempt was aborted just a few minutes before the undocking took place, when the commands to open the hooks in the ATV did not go through. The error in that configuration was subsequently identified and resolved, but a second undocking effort was postponed due to planning for a possible debris avoidance maneuver. Ground teams in Houston had been tracking 2 items: a piece of Russian Cosmos satellite that was involved in a collision in 2009 and a piece of exploded Indian rocket body that had been on orbit since 2001, both of which were on course to pass too close to the station, one on Thursday morning and one on Friday morning. By midday Wednesday, Houston flight controllers had been instructed to begin planning for a debris avoidance maneuver, which would involve firing the thrusters on the ATV in order to change the station's orbit and avoid the debris. But additional tracking later in the day gave the teams confidence that neither of the objects presented a real concern for a conjunction anymore, and so the plans for the maneuver were canceled, and replanning for the ATV's undocking took precedence. On Thursday, Sonny Williams worked on human life sciences investigations, taking measurements for the VO2 max experiment, gauging an astronaut's maximum oxygen uptake on orbit, and the European Space Agency's Thermolab investigation, which looks at the changes in the body core temperature before, during, and after exercise to measure adaptation of the body to the microgravity environment. Yuri Malenchenko spent time on Thursday cleaning the ventilation system in the Zvezda module, and Aki Hoshide did maintenance with an air sampling equipment in Kibo and maintenance on the advanced resistive exercise device. On Friday, the crew members worked together in a routine drill to practice the emergency evacuation procedures. They also had time spent packing items that are scheduled to return to Earth next month on that Dragon cargo ship before getting another scheduled midday rest, again due to the change in schedule required to support the planned undocking of the European cargo ship, the Eduardo Amaldi. After time off duty over the weekend and an opportunity to talk to their families on the ground, next week, the Expedition 33 crew will tackle more routine station maintenance, plus additional training for the upcoming robotic arm operations and more experiment work inside the Earth's biggest orbiting laboratory.